Well, political parties, as we know, now less than a week, in fact exactly a week, to try and get more voters ahead of those local government elections this time next Monday. But some candidates living in fear. It follows a spate of political killings. It's just a number of issues that candidates are dealing with. The latest incidents, ANC and EFF councillor candidates were gunned down in KwaZulu-Natal. Let's get some reaction, some analysis by political analyst Mapaseka Muroa joining us, not on Zoom, in person this time round as well. So good to have a human being speaking to us about politics for a change. I'm so tired of all this zooming in. So can we talk a little bit about manifestos, broken promises? Are you getting the impression that the manifestos and the electioneering we're seeing is reflecting reality?
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be in studio as well. I think the first thing to think about is the fact that there's been this misconception that's been going around that the function of local government is to provide basic service delivery, and it's just that. But constitutionally, the truth is actually that one of the objects of local government is to promote social and economic development. So job creation is actually a critical part of local government. I think the current socio-economic climate speaks to a high unemployment rate. We're sitting at 44.4%. We're talking massive inequality. There's massive poverty in this country. But also there's something particularly different that's been happening within the past 12 years. And that's this awakening that South Africans are having, that something is amiss, whether it's the political system that's currently in place, whether it's the governing party, but something is wrong. And South Africans are slowly but prevalently waking up to that. And
care to venture what that might be? What's missing, you think? If you had to pick one thing of all the impossible topics in the world, if you had to pick one thing, what is the one thing they're awakening to, do you think?
You can't pick one because it's an array of things. But one of the things that have been at the fore is the electoral system making sense for us in South Africa, particularly the PR system on a national level. And we saw the Constitutional Court declare, a section of the Electoral Act invalid because it didn't allow independents to take part. So South Africans are wondering, okay, does that make sense for us, the PR system?
Just to be clear for viewers I got this last week on social media, someone asking, what is public relations got to do with politics? It's PR in this case, obviously proportional representation, just to help everyone understand what that means. So, sorry, carry on with your thought process on PR.
Yes, correct. So that's been one of the questions that have come to the fore, like, is PR relevant, okay, or should we be electing independents? But to go back to your question, your initial questions, I think what's happening is, particularly with the African National Congress, is that what they're offering is the same or similar policies that they've offered before. One of the things is that they want to revitalize industrial hubs, right? You look at the city of Ekurhuleni, and it's basically a ghost town, but there are industrial facilities in that place that should have been taken advantage of. They want to bring manufacturing facilities closer to townships, which is one of the things. They want to ensure that they get rid of red tape. The Democratic Alliance, on the other hand, is saying, look, we'll provide the basic service delivery, but we'll also get rid of the red tape. So it's a bare minimum approach, that if we can just give you the bare minimum. The Economic Freedom Fighters, on the other hand, is saying, hey, we want to declare special economic zones in every municipality, and we'll procure 80% of the goods from those special economic zones.
Here's the problem in the last minute or so that I have with you as we try and unpack all the elections. I'm sure we're going to talk many times again in the build-up to this. In the last minute or so, all these parties promising very different things, though. It comes down to those who are going to vote next Monday and those who are going to actually make the effort to come out and make their mark. Are you getting the sense that people are believing what these political parties
People are not, and hence I said there is an awakening to that. Hence the rise of independents and a lot of small parties that are focused particularly on municipalities. So people don't believe it because they've seen it over and over and over again. But what's interesting is that although there is an ideological difference with these political parties, there's also a similarity. What they're saying is, hey, look, at the end of the day, we want to ensure that business is able to thrive so that we can create unpaid employment. So it will be interesting what voters respond most to.
Yeah, it's almost like they're all saying roughly the same thing. It's whether or not the party I'm voting for is saying it the way that I want to hear it.
And also if they'll be able to implement what they say.
Yeah, it's all about the implementation once the votes are cast, and I'm sure we're going to speak many, many times. Always so good to have you joining us here on eNCA. Political Analyst Mapaseka Muroa joining us here on eNCA as we build up, in fact, exactly a week from now. We all go out and we make our mark. The moment of truth is just 7 days away.